Hi, this is William from Great Affordable Watches, and today I'm gonna review the Orient Mako USA II. The first model of the Orient Mako came back in 2004 with the first generation Mako diving watches. Back then it was Orient's flagship diving watch, and it was a direct competitor with the Seiko SKX007. In 2014, the Orient USA team reached out to the Reddit community of r/watches and asked for their help creating a new watch. And so came the first Orient Mako USA. And with that watch, Orient USA upgraded the crystal to sapphire crystal, a 120 click unidirectional bezel and solid end links, and also improved luminosity for the Super Luminova. And of course, it was a huge seller because Orient's Mako line was already popular before the USA version. The USA version was not included in Orient's official lineup of watches and specially made for the US market. So first it was very hard to get one if you lived outside USA, but later they released the watch to third-party dealers. So this year, in 2016, Orient came with the upgraded version of the Orient Mako USA, and they called it the USA II. It also got sapphire crystal, a 120 click unidirectional bezel, solid end links, and of course improved luminosity of the previous version, but it also comes with a new movement, the Orient Cal F6922. And with the new movement, a new case was also made, because the old movement you had to push a button up here at 2 o'clock to change the date. So with this new movement you can change the date as a regular modern watch via the crown. And the movement also comes with hacking and hand binding. So it's a real upgrade from the previous version. So this is the ultimate Mako they have released. The watch comes in 4 colors, a blue version, a black version, and this version with white dial and black bezel. Personally, I think that this one is the best looking out of them all, because I think it's a pretty unique, not unique, but I've not seen a diamond watch with a white dial, black shaft ring and a black bezel, and I think that works great. It also got a black bar around the hands, the markers and the date, and I think that looks very good together with the black shaft ring and bezel. Okay, let's go through some specs. The power reserve is approximately 40 hours, and as I said, it got sapphire crystal. It got a screw down crown, a signed screw down crown I'm gonna show you later. 200 meter water resistance, a case diameter of 41.5 without the crown, and a case thickness of 13 millimeters. Lug width is 22 millimeters. So this is a pretty standard size diving watch, but I think it fits your wrist very well. I have a 7-inch wrist for reference, and it do fit my wrist pretty nicely. Okay, I'm gonna take the watch off and I'm gonna show you more in detail. As we can see, the dial looks very good and the markers are perfectly applied. As I said before, I think it's very nice to see that they have added a black bar around the marker's date and the hands here. Together with the chapter ring, black chapter ring, I think it looks very good. And I think the color is really well made, and the design is pretty good as well. The bezel is, as I said, 120 clicks, and this is the weak point of the watch in my opinion, because it is pretty stiff to turn. It's pretty annoying, and now I didn't really align it, but it is a couple of millimeters off in the alignment between the 12 o'clock marker and the 12 o'clock marker here. So that's a shame for an otherwise extremely good watch, but I guess it's a very affordable watch considering the specs you got. So I guess you need to accept that the watch has some downsides. And I think the white color on the dial is very well made. It's almost looks like Snow White. I think the white is very well executed here. Okay, let's take a look at the crown. Crown is signed with the typical Orient logo as on the dial. They could have saved some money by not signing the crown, and I think they made a good decision signing it, because I think that really adds to the feeling of the overall watch. Also, the case is pretty well executed and it's finished pretty good, and me personally, I like brushed lugs and polished sides. I think that combination is really good looking, and this watch have it, so that is very nice. One interesting thing to note is that there is no real line between the lugs and the sides, and they are almost floating together, so it's no bevel here. I don't know if this is a design decision or a way to cut costs, but I think it gives the watch a bit of a unique look. It's very typical to see a very steep line between the two, just as on the Steinart Ocean 500. The line here is very well defined, while on the Orient is more melting together, which I think is pretty nice. And one selling point of this watch is of course the bracelet, and the bracelet is actually pretty good. The links are solid links, and I think overall the bracelet, I am not a bracelet person, but I think the bracelet overall is pretty good considering the price. And the solid end links are also very well executed, and we can compare it to the end links on the Steinart. They almost look the same, and both feel pretty good, and I say they are on par with each other. And as well as the bracelet here on the Steinart Ocean 500, this is titanium of course, but the design is very similar. I think they are basically on par. Maybe I give a slight edge to the Steinart, but the Orient is almost as good. One thing to note that while the Orient have a lock mechanism here, I think this type of buckle is pretty standard and not so good looking as this type of buckle, the pliant buckle. I think this is much more good looking, but you can't ask for everything, and the bracelet is very good overall. So a close-up of the dial, and we can clearly see it's a very well executed dial, and the sides are also very well executed, and I think the overall finishing is pretty good, as well as the case back is pretty decent, I say. It's not really on par with the SKX here. I think this one looks awesome. The wave here is extremely good executed, and I think it's a decent case back. Nothing really to complain about, but they could have made it better. And also the crown here, close up. It's a nice crown, nice sun crown, nothing to really complain about. Not really on par with the Steinart, but of course it's a much more expensive watch, so you should expect a better crown on this one. But I think overall this watch is for $375. I think it's a fantastic watch with an in-house movement, great specs overall. I can't really see any downsides except for the best selection here. I can't really see any downsides at all, and I think it's a fantastic watch for the money, and overall very well executed. And me personally, I really like Orient. I think they do great watches for a great and offer great value, and this watch is no exception. And this is probably, if not this is my favorite Orient diver right now. I know you have the saturation diver, but I think this one is, for the money, is extremely good, and I can highly recommend it if you're looking for a diving watch in this price range. And I think it can compete with watches like Steinart standard divers and other similar divers, because this is a fantastic watch, and it got the complete package and no real downsides here. So if you live in the US, it's pretty easy to get one, but if you live in Europe, it can be a bit of a pain to get one, but I think it's worth it because this is a great watch. I hope you guys liked this review, and if you did, please like and subscribe. And I will probably compare this watch directly to the SKX007, and that video will be up next year, early next year in January. And I think both the Seiko SKX and this one is very good watches, and as always with Orient and Seiko in this price range, they really do dominate, and this watch is of course no exception. I hope I see you in the next video. Bye.